When using the format function to alter the way our date values are presented, it converts our date values into text strings. Sometimes this doesn't have any consequences on the presentation of your data, unless of course you wanted to sort your data chronologically instead of alphabetically. When you want to present your data as text, but still sort it numerically, you might need to get creative with your query design. Let's take a look at how Access handles this situation by going to the Create tab and creating a new query using the wizard. Here I'm going to choose the Simple Query Wizard and say OK. First, we're going to pull out information from our orders table. From there, I want the order date, so I'll click on it and then click on this arrow to move it over. Next, I want to get the prices of my products that have been ordered. So I'm going to go to the table Products here and find the suggested retail price and move that over as well. In addition to clicking on the arrow, I can just double-click to move a field from the Available section over here to Selected. So now I've got two selected fields, Order Date and Suggested Retail. Let's go ahead and say Next. The next screen corresponds to the Totals row in our query design that we've seen. It asks if I want to see all of the details or if I want some summary calculations. Here I'm going to choose the Summary Calculations and then go into the options. For the suggested retail price, I want to get a sum total of all of the products that were ordered over a specific date range. So I'm going to choose the Sum option here and then choose OK. Go ahead and say Next, and then we'll get a new screen that we haven't seen before in the wizard. That's because we're including date and time values in this query design. Here it's asking about grouping levels. So it says, how would you like to group the dates in our query? In this case, let's take a look at our values across a month. I'll choose the Month option and say Next. Finally, it's going to ask, what title do you want for your query? I'm going to come up here and highlight Orders Query and change it to Orders by Month. Go ahead and press the Finish button to open the query and view the information. Now I can see that I have all my orders organized by month and year here. If I expand this open, we can see that we start in December 2008, and I can see the grand total of how many products were ordered in that particular month. After December 2008, we move to January 2009. You can see that these orders are organized chronologically. Let's go back into Design View and take a look at the structure here. I'll switch into Design View, and we can see that this very first field here, if I expand this open, uses a format function just like we were doing previously. Let's go ahead and right-click on it and open it up in the Zoom view. Let me go ahead and change the font here. I'll change it up to 12. We can see that the Query Wizard used an alias here called Order Date by Month, and then it has the colon, so everything after that is where the data is coming from. Access is also using the same format function, although it's using this one with a $sign, which is a slightly different variation on the same format function, but essentially it works exactly the same. So it's formatting our order date data, and then it's following this text string. So 4 M's, a space, and then 4 Y's. So that's how we're returning the full name of the month, a space, and then the 4-digit year. Let's go ahead and say OK to that. The next column over is our sum of suggested retail price. Let me expand that open, and you can see that it's using that sum function in the totals row. The third column is actually hidden from the query results. We can tell that by looking at this Show checkbox down here and see that it's not ticked. If I expand this one open, we'll see a strange-looking formula in here. Let's actually right-click on it and go into the Zoom box again. This particular calculation is using the year function applied to our order date. It's then taking that number and multiplying it by 12. Then it's adding to that this date part function. We haven't seen this function, but reading through it, we can probably get a feel for what it does. It says date part, the first argument is M, which corresponds to months. The second argument is this reference to the orders table and the order date field. So what date part is doing is extracting the number of the month from our order date. So it's taking the year function, adding it to the month number, and then subtracting number 1. Now what exactly is this doing? Let's go ahead and say OK to this, and turn on this Show checkbox down here. Let's go ahead and say Run so we can see the results here. Now the very first thing that you might notice is that our records are no longer in chronological order. They're being returned in alphabetical order. So that's why we see April at the top here, and then August, and then December, and then February, and so on. So now our records are all mixed up. But if we take a look at this last column here, the one that was hidden originally, it has this weird serial number looking thing here. Now the reason that this exists is Access was actually using this to sort our data. If I come up here and click to sort it largest to smallest, we'll see that it sorts it in reverse chronological order. May 2014, then April 2014, then March 2014. If I change the order around, smallest to largest, we'll see it puts it in the order that it originally came in. So December 2008, then January, then February, then March. So that makes sense. So when using the Query Wizard, it actually created this new column that only exists in order to sort our data properly. Now, it's a little bit of a convoluted formula, so let me show you another way that we could do the same thing. Let's go back into Design View. I'm going to go ahead and delete this third column. I'll just click at the top and press Delete. Now, normally we might want to sort based off of our year and our months. So we've seen these functions previously. Let's go ahead and right-click and go into the builder. We can get into a year function by going to Functions, Built-in Functions, Date and Time, and scrolling to the bottom and getting our year. I'll just double-click on it to add it. Then I'll click on the word Date up here, and I'll fill in our date values, which I'll find in the tables, our orders table, and then our order date. So we're going to extract the year from our order date. I'm going to put an alias here at the beginning and just type in year and then a colon. Let's go ahead and say OK, and I'll do the same thing for months. I'll go into the next empty column, right-click and build, go into the functions, the built-in functions, the date and time functions, and then scroll down and grab month. Then we'll fill in the argument in our tables, our orders table, and our order date. And once again, I'll apply an alias at the beginning, and I'll call this month. Okay, there's our two fields here. Now we can sort based off of these fields. So down here in the sorting column, I'm going to choose to sort ascending by year, and then sort ascending by month. Now if I run it, we'll see that we're still in chronological order. I find using a separate year and month column to be a much more understandable way of sorting our text-based date values. If you use the format function to present your data values in alternative ways, just remember that you'll probably also need additional fields in your query to return a proper chronological sort.